Okay, this is orthographic drawing number 1. I'm going to show you how to do this, going through a step-by-step sequence, and there'll be a second orthographic loaded up some point soon for you. So let's have a wee look at the question first of all. The question is telling us that we have an elevation of a small portable radio. You've also been given a pictorial view over here on the right hand side. You're going to draw the end elevation to the right and also the plan on the top. The heights you're going to project from your elevation, and also the lengths you're going to project from the elevation. All your other sizes are going to come from over here on your pictorial view. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to project across the very bottom and the very top of my elevation to try and get my end elevation, making sure the lines I use are nice and light to begin with. I'm then going to give myself a starting point for the end elevation, which is going to be about here, and I'm now going to work out where the breadth of this is going to be. So in order to work out the breadth of my end elevation, I'm going to come over to my isometric view over here. I need the size from there to there, which obviously is not giving me a complete size, but what it has given me is 1, 2, 3 different smaller sizes here. So if I add the 3 of these together, which are 15, 10 and 15, that would give me 40 millimetres. So from this point here in my drawing, I'm going to measure 40 millimetres to the right. So taking my ruler, I'm going to make a wee mark at 40, and I'm then going to project that down so that it's looking like that there. Again, remembering my lines are nice and light. Now, looking at what I've got here, the shape I'm looking for is this kind of shape here. Right now all I've got is a big block of a rectangle. So what I'm now going to try and get is I'm now going to try and get this kind of side of the handle. Easiest way to do that is to project this point here straight across nice and lightly, and I now need to work out just kind of where that's going to lie within this bit here. So the distance between here to here is 15 millimetres. So I'm going to go from this point here in my drawing, and I'm now going to measure 15 millimetres along. So taking my ruler and being as nice and accurate as I can, there's my 15. I can also see from the drawing that there to there is 10 millimetres. So I'm now going to measure 10 from there. And I'm going to draw each of them straight up. Now when I do these ones, because I know these are going to be here, I'm just going to line them in straight away. So I'm going to line that in, and then I'm going to start and line in the rest of the basic shape of the end elevation. So I'm going to go from there to there and this bit down here. You'll notice that I've not lined in this wee area here, and that's because there's no line on my drawing over here at the right hand side. So we'll do that bit there and that bit there. You must make sure that your lining in is nice and detailed. Now, in terms of anything else that we can see, the only other thing you are going to see from looking from this side is this edge here of the speaker that obviously sticks out from the front of the object. So I'm going to start by projecting the top and also the bottom of that speaker. Okay, again, nice and lightly. And I can see from my drawing that that's going to stick out 5 millimetres. So coming from here, I am going to measure 5 millimetres. Taking my line up, and again, because I know it's going to be here this time, I'm just going to line it in from the word go, and I'm going to take that wee line across and this wee line across. So in terms of things we can see, that's us, we've got everything. What we can now start doing is we can now start dealing with the hidden detail, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the top and I'm going to work my way down. So the first thing I can see that I've not done anything with is this edge here. Now that edge there is showing where the handle is cut in, so I'm going to take that and I'm going to lightly project it across. Okay, once I've projected it across over the top of the area where I know it's going to be, I am then going to line it in, so I'm left with that area there. The next thing is the buttons, which are down here. I'm going to do the same with them. I'm going to take that across. And looking at my pictorial view over here, I can see that these are also 10 millimetres. So I can just do exactly the same again, and I'm just going to line in on top of that to show that it is hidden detail. In terms of this stuff here, the only thing I've not projected across is this kind of rectangular area here, but looking at my drawing, it's just surface detail, so I don't have to do anything with it. The last bit, however, is two areas down here. I've got an edge here where the circle cuts down onto it, so I'm going to project that across, and I'm going to do myself a line because I know I'm going to see that, and then the wee bit down here for where the legs are, and it would be projected across and then lined in as a hidden detail line. So you can see from there, that is your end elevation. Nothing particularly difficult in that, and that's us, we're finished with measuring. We're now going to move on to doing the plan, and everything to do with the plan I'm going to use by projecting between the elevation and also the end elevation. Best thing to use for projecting a plan is a bounce line. Bounce lines tend to come from either the top right hand corner if you've got a right hand end elevation, and if you happen to have a left hand end elevation, it's going to come from the left hand corner. So this one here obviously is a right hand end elevation, so I'm going to come from the left hand side. So taking your 45-degree set square, I'm going to come from that corner and I'm going to do a nice light bounce line, which looks like so. And I'm going to do this in exactly the same manner that I did the end elevation. I'm going to start with the biggest areas first. So I'm going to come to the main body of it, so I'm going to project up 1, and I'm going to project up 2. And then I'm going to take these two lines and I'm going to project them straight across. So project across for 1 and project across for 2. So it's now looking like so. Do the same from the elevation. So I'm going to take the outside edge here and also the outside edge here. So that area in here is the full shape of my plan, and looking from what I've got over here, I can see that I'm going to see right round the outside. So to make my life a wee bit easier, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line in round about the outside of that. So I'm going to line this line in, and I'm going to line this line in, and I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to do this one here. Okay, so there's my basic shape. So I'm going to do the same again this time. I'm going to deal with the stuff I can see first and then put in the stuff I can't see. So looking at what I've got over here, obviously the rectangle I've just drawn is this rectangle all the way around about the outside. The other thing I'm going to see is the top of this handle here. So the top of that handle there, obviously it's going to come from one side to another. So the only thing I need to project now is that point there in men's elevation and also that point there. So I'm going to take these up. So take that point there up and take that point there up, and I'm then going to project them across. So it's going to go across 1 and across 2. Now because the handle goes across the full width, I can now line that in. So I'm going to line it in 1 and I'm also going to line that in 2. Okay, so it's now looking like that there. The only other bit, again, I'm going to see from looking from the top is these speakers, which are kind of sticking out from the front of the body. Both the information is on the elevation and the end elevation, so I'm going to start and project them up. And I'm just going to do, so project up this side, 1, and this side, 2. Come on to the second speaker, and here's my third line, and here's my fourth line. So I've now got my area for where my 2 speakers are going to sit. The next thing I need is where it sticks out on the end elevation here. So I've taken that point up to my bounce line, and I've now going to take that across. So it's going to go across to here. And again, I know that it's going to be here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line that in straight away, because it's much easier to line a drawing in as you go along than leaving it all to the end when you've got a huge, great big massive lines and it then confuses you. So there we go, I'm just about at the end one. So that's the information that I can see. What I'm now left with is I'm left with the information that I can't. So I'm going to do exactly the same as what I did the last time. I'm going to start with this point here. Obviously I've not taken that up yet. This is the inside of the handle, and when you're looking from the plan you're not able to see that. So I'm going to project that straight up to here, and then once I've done that I'm going to line it in as hidden detail just between the handle. work my way along. I don't need to worry about that because I've done it already. The next bit is this bit here. So I'm going to take that up, and the hidden detail for this is going to go all the way across the body. You need to watch that you don't do the speaker, because obviously it's not part of the main body, so I'm going to get a hidden detail line going along there. The next thing moving along on my elevation is the other side of the leg for the main body, so I'm going to take that up, and again I'm going to line that in as hidden detail, and again you'll notice it's just in the body, so we're now looking like that there. Next thing, if I work my way along to, is the buttons. So we've got the button here, and I'm going to take that up and I'm going to stop that at the handle. Now remember, we decided when we were doing the end elevation that the buttons are hidden underneath this handle because they're both 10mm wide. So when I come to doing my hidden detail here, I'm just going to line it in over the top there, and do exactly the same with this point here. Line it in as hidden detail, and then last but not least, this side of the button there. Okay, so it's going to look like so. Working my way along, I'm back to this side of the body now with the leg, so I'm going to take that across, and if you remember, you're lining that in the whole way across the body. Remember not to do that on the speakers. Other side of the leg, project it up first, and then line it in as a hidden detail line, and we've got one more line to do after this, and that's the other side of the handle, which you're then going to line in like so. So not a particularly difficult drawing. Could have been, however, because if you look at what you're left with now, you're left with a lot of lines. So in terms of learning intentions for this particular drawing, what I was looking to try and get across to you is to make sure you're careful in how you take your construction lines up. You don't have to do them all at the same time. Take your time with it and line it in as you go along, and as long as you do that, you're going to be successful. And that is the end of drawing number 1. I'm also going to upload onto the Glow website a blank copy of this drawing. I know you won't be able to use it with drawing instruments, but what you can do is sketch it as you go along. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and I hope this helps.